Big Lonely Doug is the second highest Douglas fir in Canada. Doug serves to illustrate a conversation in the 2019 Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, The Overstory by Richard Powers, one of the most compelling calls to action that has been written in the face of our unsustainable demands on the planet. The conversation occurs at the top of a Californian redwood. Like Big Lonely Doug, it's the last tree in a clear cut. The conversation ends with, exponential growth inside a finite system leads to collapse. Literally so here. The oldest wharf in northern Norway, built in 1871, supports eaten away. It collapsed into the sea. The main supports are being eaten by a vast increase in sea worms caused by the warming of the fjord. We've seen this before, but in 2015, the Agenda 2030 was ratified to resolve the crisis that our unsustainable demands have brought us to. Today, however, already almost a third of the allotted time for Agenda 2030 has passed, and there is a bewildering lack of urgency in addressing the SDGs, or indeed the Paris Agreement, by governments, the public, and the museum sector. Although there are signs of a burgeoning understanding that time is of the essence, around the world, young people, galvanized by Greta Thunberg, by her appearance here in Katowice last November, are marching. Ordinary citizens in London, as we just heard, following Gandhi's non-violent theories, have stopped and closed the centre of London for 4 days. A recent poll in the USA, Democrats said that the most important issue is climate change. The British government has declared an emergency, an environmental emergency. And yesterday, there was a green wave in the European elections. It is my contention that the global museum institution should be actively moving to align itself with and give support and sustenance to the gathering forces for good, addressing the challenges the planet faces, that museums become sites of rebellion, spaces for transformation. So what are the museum-specific characteristics that can assist us in this task? Well, there are many, but I'll just mention two. As nodes or hubs in a global network, there are 55,000 museums, as Bob James mentioned earlier on, in 202 countries. As a knowledge institution, museums have a tradition of serving the public. With regard to the latter, we are at a point in the institution's historical trajectory where museum practitioners are increasingly aware of the importance of dialogue with the communities they serve. This awareness is of critical importance as we look to engage our public in achieving sustainable futures. There's more than enough research confirming that activating and empowering local communities, giving them agency through participation, is a precondition for resolving the challenges the global community faces. Without an active electorate, politicians are unlikely to undertake the necessary difficult choices. Understood as a global network of nodes or hubs, the museum institution is unique, offering in the same physical space a site to communicate local and global sustainable perspectives. The Museum of the Future could be both closely involved in developing local community narratives and an integral part of a worldwide network disseminating global sustainable narratives, each informing the other to bring about change necessary to attain an equitable, habitable, sustainable planet. Panda is a colony of aspens, a single organism 80,000 years old, covering 43 hectares. A rhizomatic plant system. A rhizome is a horizontal underground stem of plants. They strike new roots and stems out of their nodes. Nurtured by the soil, they spread horizontally, having no clear beginnings and no ends. No borders, no centers. Museums, too, are nodes in a network, each node a separate repository of memories, tangible and intangible. Rhythms of memory is a beguiling metaphor for the global museum. Museums are linked together by common goals and practices, sustained by tradition, enabling us to know our past, to better understand the present, and to prepare ourselves to face the challenges of attaining sustainable futures. This repository of memories is nurtured by our public, just as Pando is nurtured by the environment it is part of. It is vital that museums nourish our public and be nurtured by them, offering them agency, ensuring that a living museum can contribute to United Nations' vision of transformation to a sustainable future. How can this network of nodes that make up the global museum institution nurture growth of these repositories? Well, by cultivating the fertile ground of local community activism, replenishing these repositories of memories with significant stories of global relevance from local communities, providing a physical site for the rebellion that is underway, the rebellion of our youngsters leaving their desks, supporting initiatives like Extinction Rebellion's 3 simple demands: telling the truth, promoting action now, and the creation of a citizen assembly, and indeed offering the global museum infrastructure as sites for such assemblies. I'll conclude now by giving a brief account of a museum giving sustenance to a fishing community's rebellion for a return to a sustainable path for the future. So Varanger is right at the top of the map, actually, on the border between Norway and Russia. It was a major fishing harbour. Today, the fishing industry has collapsed. The population halved, yet cooperation with the local museum and the local community initiated from outside the museum has resulted in optimism. Vardø Restored is a project facilitating new stories and business activities in heritage sites in Vardø. Restored consists of an interdisciplinary team in the museum. It developed a people-first philosophy focusing on the people who own and wish to run their own business in heritage sites in need of restoration. The museum provides an infrastructure for the project, among other things, initiating a program for craftsmen to develop forgotten traditional skills. It has helped over 50 owners in the restoration of their buildings. The Coma Festival, a spin-off, was an attempt to wake Vardø from the coma that the city's decline had caused and reverse depopulation. A celebration of Vardø's physical heritage through the means of street art. Over a dozen international artists joined, creating 55 works. The Coastal Rebellion originated in Vardø. It's a widespread, non-violent, non-political initiative directed at the dramatic structural change in Norwegian fisheries. One of the aspects of success to date is how culture is woven into a political message by drawing on the energy and belief created by Vardø Restored in the museum and its radical approach to conservation and the Coma Festival's use of art as a political tool. The uprising's message is decline is always a corollary of political choice. Local communities are the key to sustainability in the blue economy. And finally, indicative of its role in Vardø's reawakening, Vardø Museum has been invited to join a major Norwegian research program on sustainability. The Coastal Barometer researchers write, I quote, "Museums have a central role in the project as local experts collecting data, historical records, and interpreting socio-ecological timelines in their local coastal systems. Moreover, they could also act as catalysts for change and ecosystem-based adaptation to climate change. We will build on their strong communication expertise to increase outreach and public engagement in climate change adaptation and sustainable pathways." The researchers will be collecting data, numbers and figures,
Morien.
but it will be... Sorry.
You can hear me. Your time is running out.
Okay, just one paragraph. Researchers collating the numbers and figures, but it will be the museums themselves that create the narratives and translate them into the stories of the past, the rhythms of memory, and linking them to those that the next generation will be most in need of. Thank you.